Hi, team. I just wanted to hop on and go over the food cycle overview with you today. This is day one of prep week of the Faster Way. And what we'll do tomorrow is get into our live call and we'll do expectations and overview of the program, what's allowed during fasting and that type of thing. But I like to start off talking about what the food cycle is going to look like. And if you guys have been in the Facebook group, then or in the portal or the comprehensive guide, then you've seen kind of a diagram of what the food cycle looks like. We have a number of different nutritional days. We've got low carb days, we've got regular macro days, low macro days, and then we've got a couple of 24-hour fasts in weeks 5 and 6. So one 24-hour fast in each of those 2 weeks. And I'll tell you, it's very common to feel like you're drinking from a fire hose during prep week, even into weeks 1 and 2, because this is all new stuff. So try to take a deep breath and just learn as much as you can, ask questions, and just kind of chill out if you can while we go through all this information. So the main thing that I want you to know before I jump into what each of these days looks like is that your number one goal every single day during the Faster Way is going to be to hit your protein goals. Protein is a super important macronutrient. I'll talk about that later in the week, but that's your number one goal. And the protein goal is really, for men, it is not going to vary any day of the week. For women, it's going to stay consistent except on our rest days or our low macro days. And I'll get into that in just a minute. But just remember, number one, I want you to hit that protein goal. We are going to be focusing on a couple of low carb days if you're female, and we're going to add in a third low carb day if you're a man. For women and men, we will be low carb on Mondays and Tuesdays. Men are going to be adding in a low carb day on Fridays. And so what we're doing with low carb days is we are leveraging the best of the keto strategy. So we are not as low carb as keto. Keto would be 20 net grams or less. We're going to be focused on 50 net grams or less for women and 100 net grams or less for men. And what we're focused on those days is depleting our glycogen stores, okay? Glycogen is an energy that is stored in our muscles, and it's the first form of energy that our body will turn to when it needs energy, okay? What we're focused on is depleting that on low carb days by eating very, very minimal carbs. And the idea is that our body can then tap into our stored fats for fuel. So it's one of the ways that we are really going to leverage and get your body burning fat. And of course, the other way is through intermittent fasting. So low carb day, depleting that glycogen store. We are also very targeted with our workouts, adding HIIT training, Tabata training, or you may hear us call it sprint training. That is going to further deplete that glycogen and get your body tapping into that stored fat for fuel. All right, so those are low carb days. Know that every single day of this program, we will be practicing intermittent fasting. We will fast 16 hours a day. And then we'll eat within an 8-hour window. But I'll kind of go over that in another video, and we'll talk about that on our live call as well. I want to show you from MyFitnessPal what that low carb day is going to look like. So let me find and share my screen with you. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. And let me see if I can move this over. Hopefully you can see this. If you look at this pie chart, we'll get into the MyFitnessPal video training later, and I'll show you where this is. But I want you to see that on a low carb day, our macros are going to be kind of crazy because we're going to be really high on our fats. And you can see that in this example that I'm at 55% fat. You're actually probably going to be closer to 60%. Anywhere between 55 and 65% is excellent on low carb day. And you'll see that our carbs are super low. I'm at 15% on this particular day, and my protein is 30%. My protein actually was a little high. My goals and my macronutrient percentages are slightly different than yours, so I want you to ignore that part, but just understand that these percentages are going to look kind of crazy because the fats are so high. Now, what's interesting about this is, number one, fats will not make you fat. And secondly, and probably actually more importantly, is that because we are eliminating so many carbs from your daily food intake on low carb days, we need to make up for the calories somewhere else. Low carb day is not low calorie day. And so the macronutrient that we're overshooting and overeating is healthy fats. Therefore, that fat percentage is going to be super high. So this is your macro pie chart. Just know that these percentages are going to change throughout the day, and you're not going to get a great overview of what this looks like until you've put the last bit of food that you've eaten for the whole day into MyFitnessPal. Okay, so don't panic if you put lunch in and you're at like 80% carbs. Okay, that doesn't matter till the end of the day. All right, so that's the pie chart, and then let me find the regular screen shot, and this is it. All right, so here we go. You can see, actually, I kind of like to show you that I'm not that anybody thought I was perfect, but I'm definitely not perfect. You can see that I've overeaten my protein just a little bit by 11 grams. It's just slightly too much. It is okay if you are over or under any of your macronutrients, proteins, carbs, or fats by 5 to 10 grams, okay? I don't want you to feel that you have to be perfectly on target. Some of you are going to look at this like a puzzle, and you are absolutely going to try to make it perfect, and that's fine. Everybody's got different personalities, and some people love to do that, but just know 5 to 10 grams over or under is just fine. Now, net carbs, all right? Men, you're targeting 100. Women, we're targeting 50. In order to calculate net carbs, we're just going to look at our total carbs. Mine are 55. And then you can see that my fiber is 39. So I'm just deducting my fiber from my total carbs to get to the net number. And you can see I'm well under my 50 net grams of carbs for the day, right? And then my fats, you can see my healthy fats, I have really overshot by 37 grams. All right. So essentially, most of you are going to need to be eating somewhere between 80 and 120 grams of fat in order to get to your calorie goal. I understand that that means probably very little to you right now, that it's confusing. And as we go through the week, it will make more sense. To some of you, it will become more confusing. Again, it's just because it's a brand new concept, guys. And I want you to stay patient. I want you to ask questions. I want you to understand that it is common to be confused by this, all right? I'm sure that anything new that you've tried to learn, it didn't happen in 15 minutes, right? So just be patient with yourself and with the process. All right, I want to point out that I always use the free version of MyFitnessPal, and I do have plenty of clients who use the paid version, but I just want you guys to know that the free version is perfectly fine. But what will happen is that you will not be able to customize your macronutrient goals per day with the free version. And that means that when you are looking at the number of net carbs that you're eating a day, you're going to have to kind of eyeball it. Meaning that just in the scenario that you see here, you're going to add your foods into your diary, you're going to look at this nutrient screenshot, and you're going to have to eyeball it and say, okay, yes, I've got 55 carbs, I've got 39 fibers, I'm under my 50 net carbs. If you had the paid version, you would actually be able to put the number 50 in here. Or if you were a man, you'd be able to over here under the goals, change it to 100 for men. And you'd be able to change it down here to, 80, 90, 100, whatever you needed. So you wouldn't have to eyeball it. So I just like to point that out to you guys while we're talking through this. All right, so these 2 screenshots, these are the screenshots that you will actually upload to me and that I will be looking at and giving you feedback on, during the course of this round. All right, let me stop sharing that screen for a second. Okay, let's talk about regular macros and low macros. So men do not need to worry a thing about low macro days, all right? So if you're a guy, just disregard what I'm getting ready to say about low macro days. Low macro days are associated with our rest days. Rest is super important. One of the things that we'll be talking about is how right behind nutrition, rest is the second most important factor in getting your body to be an efficient fat burner. So low macro days for women, especially when you're using the free version of the app, it takes a minute to get used to it. And all you're going to do every day, not every day, Friday and Sunday are low macro days. You are going to look at your goals. So let me share my screen again. I showed you, all right, so these are my goals. I need to have 97 grams of protein, 174 of carbs, and 52 fats on my regular macro days. But if I'm low macro, then I need to be at 25% below that, right? So you have to do a little bit of math to figure that out. And the way that I do that is I just take my goal, 97, and I multiply it by 0.75. So that leaves what I actually need to achieve as a goal. I need 73 grams of protein on my low macro day. And you will calculate that for each macronutrient. So for each protein goal, you'll calculate that for your carb goal and for your fat goal. I hope that makes sense. So what you see here on this particular screenshot, let's talk about the regular macro days. And our regular macro days are going to be days where we're feeding our body with carbs. You can see this is the day that we're at 50, we're at 50% carbs on this day, right? 174 carbs is my goal. I need 97 proteins and I need 52 fats, right? So what you see in the free version of My Fitness Pal under goals are your regular macronutrient goals. So that's a little bit of an overview. I will be posting these screenshots in the group so that you can continue to see them and you can get your head wrapped around this. I understand that it's confusing, at first. It's normal for you to be confused. One of the things I want to point out is that when you're starting the program, if you've been eating just a lot of junk and a lot of processed foods and tons of sugar, it's possible that you could feel the effects of kind of your body detoxing. So you could have headaches, you could feel kind of a little sluggish and tired, you could even feel a little bit of increased sugar cravings. So just understand that that is perfectly normal. It's your body kind of going through the stage of detoxing and beginning to turn from a sugar burner into a fat burner. It's super important every day of the program, but especially if you're feeling like that, to hydrate. I want you to make sure you're drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. You can infuse that water with fruit, lemon, lime, whatever you like. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to break your fast. You can drink it like that every day. Not adding fruit juice, but slices of fruit is a really good thing. Again, we will be fasting daily. We will talk more about that. But that's your overview of the food cycle. Yes, I know it is a little bit confusing. Go into the Facebook group and look at the header photo in order to see how the week lays out, all right? Every week, 1 through 4, is going to be identical. Week 5 and 6, those 2 weeks are going to be slightly different because we will throw in a 24-hour fast once per week in weeks 5 and in week 6, okay? And as we get closer to that, I will teach you how to get through that. By the time we get there, you will be ready to attempt that optional 24-hour fast. So I hope you guys have a great day. If you haven't read your comprehensive guide yet, please go ahead and do that. Start doing your new client assessment or your returning client assessment and get that turned into me, and I'll see you on the live call tomorrow.